So you can see that the sword has a 3-point contact design, where the contact themselves is in a triangular shape, right? And guess what? The handle is triangular. So this is essentially what you want to do. So let's compare and contrast different designs over a period of time. So this is the Dynasty Forge Imperial Qianlong. This essentially is built after a Qianlong era or the middle of the Qing Dynasty era sword design, very typical of the era. You can immediately notice it has a relatively flared out reverse triangular shape. The guard is not that big. I mean, even compared to say this particular guard, they're really about the same size, right? It's sort of, but you don't have the flare anymore. But similarly though, you can still notice that if I hold it that way, right, in the way I want to hold the sword, my leverage works well against it. I can brace against the sword. It really works, right? This sword is not light. It's about 2.3 pounds, I believe. And so it's not a super light sword the first time I handle it, but because the way you handle this particular in the hand, actually I got used to it and I feel like it's okay. It's not a bad way to balance around. Different type of guard in the shape you also find more typical of the early Qing, late Ming era swords, or actually Ming Dynasty swords has more of the shape, which is that the guard is not triangular, it's a little bit more oval. The contact itself no longer has a reverse triangular guard. It's not triangle exactly, but the cutoff on the handle is actually rather flat. But nevertheless, it's still got true curvature on these two sides. And so the characteristic of this one is, of course, the cold steel Jade lion. So this one, you can have very similar control of it. The advantage of this guard is that because it's quite wide and it's a bit deep, the weight of the guard is a bit more. So that makes the balance come a little bit more towards the handle. And so even though it's not a light sword at all, it feels okay in the hand. I find the balance to be fine. I believe this is also around somewhere around 2.1 to 2.3 pounds. I would check. And so this sword, other than the fact it's very decorative, so it rubs the hand a little bit. Similarly, when I come back in, right, similar 3-point contact, jaw of the hand, handle, and when I strike out, similarly, the index finger can sit underneath that guard. So it works well as well. I personally think this one's neck is a little bit too narrow, so that particular motion has a little bit more leeway. I can feel a little bit more give. But overall, it works fine. I don't think this particular guard is that narrow. This handle is that narrow in Ming Dynasty swords. So there's a little bit of a difference. But other than that, I also like this kind of guard. And the idea is that because the guard block is a bit taller, it has more leeway. So when a sword comes in and you do a reverse and this way, and you trap that sword right to the guard, the sword needs to achieve a much sharper angle to cut the fingers. And so in most cases, as long as you're not trying to get super close on engagement, it's okay. It works. So it's a nice balance between safety of the hand and control. Come back to this is the Dynasty Forge, also another one of the jian. That's modeled exactly after one of the Qianlong replicas. And, I believe other people have already reviewed the sword. So the difference here is that the design is more of a block, right? It's not neither a triangle nor a oval, but you nevertheless still reserve these grooves for the fingers. Even though it's quite decorative, so it's really grazes against the fingers, but nevertheless, a 3-point contact can be achieved. And, it's not bad. As long as you don't try to rub it against your hand with too much leeway, you grip against it, it's not a bad design. And then we can get into Ming Dynasty guards. So this is the LK Chen Gale Wind Ming sword. So this is modeled after a very typical Ming Dynasty sword construction. The guard is something called a zhiyun design. A zhiyun is a mushroom cloud design. So this guard, you can see, is quite a lot bigger than all the other ones in the Qing Dynasty designs. This one in the Ming Dynasty, they really favor these larger designs. And the difference here is that instead of being triangular, you actually got the sort of reverse swept you can design. You can also see this design in a lot of later period Qing swords, but they became much more prominently triangular. But notice what's happening though is that the neck of it at the transition the handle nevertheless reserved the grooves for the fingers. So when you hold it with the 3-point contact, right jaw of the hand coming in, sitting right in there, and then you have the fingers, it's quite comfortable. So see, I have this, and also because of large shape, a large size of it, the balance point is quite close to the hand. And because of this, the control is really nice. The weight of it is almost the same as the Dynasty Forge swords, but the balance is quite nice. The sword design is believed to be for nobles, for scholars, and it's not really designed to be a battle-based weapon. In Ming Dynasty, their guard tend to be disc-shaped for battlefields, but for everyday carry, to display status, people carry this. And so this is not so great for balance-wise, it's not so great for chops, but it's great for stabs. And because of the guard design, right, it protects the hand quite a bit because of the larger distance to the hand itself. And you have, ability to rotate, and it really responds within the hand. So I really like this design. It's quite nice. The only trade-off for just something like this is that because the jaw of the hand contact point, this will actually start to, sit into the jaw into the hand. And so to achieve vertical position with this sword, sometimes it's hard. So you can't get as vertical as you need with this one. And later period Qing Dynasty swords of similar size, you gotta watch out for that, which is how deep is that groove, right? How deep is the protrusion coming out of the guard? If it's too deep, you will start to interfere with the ability to do a reverse bung in this direction. That's why I don't personally favor those guards, because I prefer to have that additional range of control, and also why I like the triangular shape for that. And one thing a lot of people often ask, and often they do, is that they like to put their finger on this side of the sword because they feel that there's a bit more of a control, right, when they're stabbing forward with that sword. I don't do that personally. The reason is because I often feel that my contact point at the jaw of my hand is enough to propel the sword forward. I don't really need this for that. And every time I've tried this in sparring, my finger have always gotten hit. So I'm pretty certain that if I use it in the real sword, my finger will get chopped off for just a matter of time. So I don't do it, I don't take that risk. And second is that you can see some sword, especially like this one with the Jade lion, is that there is no additional sheath of protection on the end of the sword. So and this blade is sharp. So if you don't want to really put it here and do this, right? Sometimes in the thick of a fight, you will cut yourself. So because of this, I don't favor that particular hold. I find the 3-point control is enough for me and achieve all of my needs. So I hope you find the following video helpful, and thanks for watching.